Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Airspeed Read Naruto video. This one's going to be for volume 20 of the manga, which is called Naruto Vs Sasuke. Here is our 3-in-1 volume 20 cover image, definitely getting across the whole Naruto-Sasuke fight that happens here. Not so much a full battle, but definitely the first hint as to, this is going to be a thing in the series that they do fight. Yeah, we cover another 9 chapters as ever here. We cover 172 to 180, The Return, Anguish, Feelings, Naruto vs Sasuke, Rivals, The Sound Ninja 4, Invitation, Never Forget, and A Promise. And definitely, probably one of my favourite volumes so far in the series, definitely. It's just, in general, a really eventful kind of volume, even though it's kind of like the transition slash start of the next arc, in that you have Tsunade's return to the village and her straight away interacting with a lot of other characters. You have the characters who are going to be a focus in the upcoming arc kind of come back into things. Shikamaru, much more of a focus here. Choji, even Shino to some extent is getting a little bit of attention kind of as they kind of focus on some of that thing. Like even though Shino's kind of ignored, Kiba, is obviously the one who becomes part of the kind of team that they set up later on. But we just kind of catch up with everyone now that the kind of village is sort of changing with Tsunade in place as the 5th Hokage. And obviously Tsunade returning means we catch up with Lee and his recovery, Kakashi his recovery, Sasuke's recovery, and stuff just kicks off from there, and it just continues to be really good. It's just really nicely paced here. None of the chapters are in any way boring or anything like that. There's big events to address, kind of making it worthwhile that we had the last arc just to get Tsunade and bring her back to the village, because we're actually focusing on that sort of stuff. So yeah, the straight away the first thing we get is basically just people's reaction to Tsunade. The main thing is that as Naruto is walking with Tsunade to meet everyone in hospital, they walk by Shikamaru and his father. And Tsunade obviously knows Shikamaru's father from when he was younger, and we catch up with him now. And we find out, I suppose, just a little bit after this, though, that Shikamaru has been the only one who, after the Chunin exams, has actually been made a Chunin. Of everyone we looked at in those exams, in those fights, he was the one specifically chosen to become a Chunin. So that is a big deal, and Iruka's the one to explain it in the manga here, just that they saw him and him fighting with his brain more so than anyone, like being able to accept his defeat and stuff like that, as something that was more suited to being a Chunin. And like just setting that up here, and a little bit of furthering just how he kind of sees kind of girls, women at this point in time, where he's not too happy about a female Hokage, because I suppose his own experience with like Ino and Sakura, their rivalry, his experience with his mother and how that affects his father and stuff like that. He just has like the specific examples of women in his life kind of lead him to go, maybe not the best choice for Hokage, but he doesn't really mean anything too much by it. But yeah, pretty much immediately after that we just get Tsunade arriving at the hospital, just briefly heals Sasuke, and he's basically straight back up. And really nice moment actually in the hospital is kind of straight away with straight away the second Sasuke gets up, Sakura hugging him immediately, showing how much she cares. And then Naruto seeing this and kind of being like, okay, I'm going to leave them alone now and just going to actually walk out. Whereas like he was excited the whole time because he wanted to heal Sasuke, but he sees how important it was for Sakura to kind of have that moment with Sasuke alone. And I like that Tsunade kind of notices it, and that like, yeah, he's more considerate than I thought, Naruto. And you see him kind of leaving that, like he doesn't want to be the awkward kind of third wheel in this situation. And even Sasuke's a little bit surprised to wake up and just be hugged by Sakura immediately, but just very much highlights the closeness that at least she feels towards him, and a little bit the other way as well. We immediately start the next chapter with focusing on Lee, and she goes over to attempt to kind of analyze him, and we get the full scope of what's wrong with Rock Lee in that, as much as we've seen him like wearing bandages and stuff like that, he still has been doing stuff the last couple of times we've seen him. Like he's been walking around, he's been doing like push-ups and stuff like that. But we see that the problem is actually that, yes, the major injuries are healing, like the broken bones and stuff like that are healing. The problem is that there's little bone fragments because he was so badly injured that are kind of in or around his nerves, and they need to be got rid of because if he does anything too crazy, like on a mission, he could like basically, I suppose, paralyze himself or worse, if those bone fragments were to actually cause some damage. So get the idea that the operation isn't like healing the broken bones, it's actually extracting all those bone fragments, and that makes it so difficult because his injuries are so bad, there's so many bone fragments, and that's the problem. And it leaves Lee with this big decision of like, you can get the operation, but even Tsunade, as the best medical ninja, is saying to him, there's a 50-50 shot. There's only a 50% chance I will succeed and you'll be fit again after a really long recovery process. Like either way, you're going to suffer here. The surgery is a success. You'll take a long time to recover, and maybe you can be a shinobi again. The other side of it is the other 50% is you die, and he's just left with this decision of just, does he want to take this risk of dying, or does his goal to become, a shinobi even without ninjutsu or genjutsu more important than that? And they kind of leave with the shocking kind of reaction and then return to it towards the end of this volume. And I quite like that there's a lot to cover here, but they kind of just have like Rock Lee's with a decision, some other stuff happens, and then we return to kind of get his decision. So I really like how that's done, and you really see the emotion comes across quite well here. Like Rock Lee, I suppose, really realistically after this arc isn't really in the show all that much, and so it's great that the focus is actually on him during this kind of key part of his recovery, and he gets a really great shot of just how kind of harsh this decision is on him and how big of a thing this is going to be for him to make. We briefly catch up with the Ino Shika Cho trio, just kind of highlighting them a bit more, and the fact that Asuma, as much as they're celebrating Shikamaru becoming a Chunin, Asuma is still like, he's still super lazy. Like, I understand why he was made Chunin, but he's still super lazy, and the team kind of has all these problems, and that Ino's very loud, vocal, a little bit rude at times. Choji is kind of a little bit unmotivated and then just prefers to eat all the time and doesn't have motivation beyond food. So like he's kind of worried about the kind of team progress, even though one of his students was the one made Chunin, and just setting up that something big is kind of coming for Shikamaru and his kind of leadership potential. We do also catch up with Iruka and Naruto. They're at Ichiraku. He's been away on a mission, and just them returning and having this with each other. This just highlights that relationship, that it's kind of big brother to little brother, almost father son kind of type thing between them. There is a big caring between them, and Iruka is just really happy to see Naruto grow. That like he was key in bringing the new Hokage back to the village, and he just gives Naruto a little kind of pep talk about how everyone's going to be important now. That we have less shinobi after what just happened, but we have equally as many missions, and so we still have to keep going with that. But then we start the kind of important, like in terms of the entire series, basically, the really important thing to nail, and that is Sasuke's desire for revenge kind of taking over and eclipsing like everything else going on in his life. And so him going off to Orochimaru makes some sort of sense. And they do it really well here in that Sakura is doing everything she can to, make Sasuke's recovery good. She's feeding him, she's basically there every day, constantly, putting flowers in the little vase beside him. And you can tell he cares, but every time he thinks about things, he's thinking about what Itachi did in the past, what Itachi did to him just recently to put him in hospital, and how he's not powerful enough. And then I think most importantly, the importance of Naruto, that even his brother wants Naruto more than him, and that Naruto has gotten to the point now where, in Itachi's mind, Naruto has surpassed him. He's more powerful than him, and is just kind of angry about all of that. The crazy multi-shadow clones, the amount he can make, being able to summon such a giant summoning animal. He was the one who took out Gaara in the end and saved Sakura when that was kind of Sasuke's plan. And he just sees it as like, if I can't, you know, if I'm not stronger than Naruto, how will I ever defeat my brother? And even my brother is kind of more focused on Naruto as like a more powerful person than I am. So I think they do that really well, just this kind of inferiority complex that he has, even though he's the genius. He's the one who can learn everything really quickly. But he is shocked by what's going on with Naruto and with his past. And we just end with this really cool double page spread of the Sound Ninja 4 arriving in Konoha, basically to bring Sasuke to Orochimaru and accelerate that whole process. That let's not forget, that Orochimaru's whole plan is to get Sasuke and make him his new body, basically, which is basically the implication from the fight that Orochimaru just had with the two other members of the Sannin. Where are we going after that? Nice little scene with Shikamaru and Choji here. I think it's obviously more to set up the importance of their relationship as we go into the big fight stuff going forward, but just this moment that's showing that Shikamaru is the kind of basically Choji's best friend. He's the one who understands Choji the best, in that Shikamaru's aware that Choji eats a lot and stuff like that, and the abuse he tends to get from even Asuma and Ino about his weight, but Shikamaru's just like, no, don't listen to them, just be yourself. You are who you are, you're kind and stuff like that. You can work with the way you are. You don't need to change for everyone else. And that just gives kind of Choji confidence, and it kind of spurs him on to kind of work on his own issues without Shikamaru being like critical of him, and it kind of works that way. Then we get into the big moment. Naruto does come back to visit Sasuke, and immediately Sasuke's got this death look on his face, and is just like, fight me. And it's the biggest shock to Sakura more than anyone, and I really actually like how they use Sakura in this whole volume, in that it's not just that she is the girl, and so she has all the emotions in this thing. To some extent they do that, but it more highlights her relationship with kind of like the relationship of all of the members of the team. In that, at this stage, we're at the point where we know Sakura really likes Sasuke. She hasn't quite said, love yet, but I think it's basically at that point. She's grown to really care about Naruto as like a very close friend, and the team kind of bond in general is very, very much there. So to see Naruto return and bring back the person who has basically healed Sasuke, it's a big thing, in that she's very proud of Naruto for what he did, and she's happy that Sasuke is back, but she's also worried for Sasuke because of the whole Itachi thing, the setup with Orochimaru, and then basically the entire manga up to now has been about highlighting Naruto and Sasuke's friendship, rivalry, but here the rivalry is coming more out, and so it's very interesting to see her be kind of not very aware of the rivalry, and I suppose what that's really like, and that it's weird in that she should to some extent understand it given the rivalry she has with Ino, but I think she's gotten past the stage of that being super aggressive, so it's really kind of shocking to her to see what happens here. And obviously the difference here is that Sasuke especially is like super aggressive during this fight, and it is more like a battle between hero and villain more than friends to showcase their rivalry. But the fight is kind of really well done, and she obviously follows them up and is kind of watching this the whole time. They have their kind of monologues to each other, and it's interesting in that usually Sasuke is the one who is the most kind of on point with what he says to Naruto, and in terms of frustrating Naruto, he says the cool things that rile up Naruto. We've seen that in the past, some of the flashbacks. But here it's actually Naruto who actually hits home with most of what he's saying, in that Naruto has so much confidence after the incident that just happened. He's had a victory over Gaara. He has helped Tsunade return to the village, and he's feeling very confident, whereas Sasuke is feeling very inferior, and so Naruto being confident and saying, like, no, you're the one who feels weak here, it actually gets on Sasuke's nerve and just riles him up even more. And Naruto is just like, no, I can actually prove myself equal to you here. And it just is, it works really well, and we get our pretty much our first of probably many to come Naruto Sasuke shouting matches here. So very very well drawn here as the fight begins. It's it feels super short here in the manga compared to the anime episodes that focus on this same fight. In that, I suppose it's just how long it actually takes in the anime for like Sasuke to taijutsu take out all of Naruto's clones, whereas here it's just 2 pages, and then we're almost immediately straight into the Rasengan Chidori clash. So it went by super quick compared to what I remembered from the anime, but obviously the big moment was the Rasengan Chidori clash, Kakashi arriving, grabbing both of them, sending them flying into two water canisters, and we basically get this perfect example of they both crash their attack into the same object, basically just two identical bits of the same object. And initially it just seems like Naruto has just put a dent in it and a small hole, and that Sasuke has completely like crinkled the thing. But then when Sasuke looks at the back of Naruto's one, it's actually completely blown the back open. It's just the initial impact doesn't seem that strong, but it actually is a really powerful kind of back blast. And his attack actually did more damage than Sasuke's, and it's another thing to further kind of rile up Sasuke, who obviously who basically just leaves. He's frustrated by what just happened, that he didn't easily defeat Naruto in this battle, and that it was a bit of a challenge for him. And then Naruto, I suppose, is just, you get a really interesting look on him where he's intense, he's not sad, he's not angry, it's just this kind of interesting expression where he's just like, it's really kind of come to this. Like, he wasn't prepared for their first fight like that to be as intense as it was. But just knowing that they are like true rivals now at this point, where there is something here, and it's at this point you get another kind of nice moment with Sakura. Like it comes back later on, but you can see she's crying after the initial aftermath of this. She thought they were going to kill each other, and she was kind of willing to put herself on the line to kind of stop them from doing that. Then we get Jiraiya and Kakashi talking, and I really like this in that these are the two like personal mentors of each of these characters, and they're both kind of like, why did you teach this like really young character this really powerful technique? And they're like, why did you teach him that one? And Jiraiya, obviously not knowing the two of them as well as Kakashi does, ask like, what's up? Like I know there's some weird stuff going on between them, but like I wasn't expecting this. And this is where we get the whole Orochimaru connection, in that Kakashi just like, remember what you were like with Orochimaru? That's basically what it's like with Naruto and Sasuke. That yes, they're close and they're friends, but they're rivals. And the problem here is that Naruto has got to the stage where he's not going to tolerate Sasuke just completely diminishing him and saying that I'm completely better than you. He is at the point now where he's close or at Sasuke's level, potentially even above it, and Sasuke is feeling inferior and feels like he's falling behind to Naruto's amazing progress. And that, plus what's going on with Itachi, is really turning Sasuke down a kind of dark path of focusing on revenge, which is obviously the big problem that he has. And then I do like what he says to Sakura. It's just a little thing. It's just like, don't worry, it'll be like it was before. It is a lie, ultimately, in that it gets there, I suppose, at the very end of the series, but it's such a thing to get there, but he just had to kind of give Sakura something. And Naruto's a little bit harsh with Sakura after that. He says just like, when we're fighting, stay out of the way. And she kind of catches him up a little bit on some of the stuff with Sasuke, but that's really about it. So yeah, the lighting has changed. Had some camera problems just there, and haven't got to record this until now. So basically, this is like 4 or 5 hours since the first part of this video has been recorded. But I know exactly where I stopped in the review. Um, so yeah, we get probably at least my favorite scene from this volume, but it's definitely one of my favorite scenes overall from Naruto Part 1, and it's just a scene in general that I really like, and that is um, Kakashi basically giving this forced lecture speech, though it's not really this kind of thing where he's telling him exactly what to do. He says it initially, but then it's more of like, think about it type situation. So it's just in general a very interesting scene how it plays out. Let me just find it here. Here we go. I just really like the dialogue here, because Sasuke is very angry initially, and he just doesn't get why Kakashi is doing this, and goes as far as to say, you think you're a genius. I could kill the person most precious to you, then you'd know just how wrong you are about me. Like, Sasuke's trying to kind of tell these people close to him that, like, I'm not who you think I am. I'm different. I'm not good like you. And Kakashi, what his comeback is really interesting because of the way he says it. In the anime, this is a really well voice acted line, and it comes across quite nice here with the sudden kind of reveal of Kakashi's face, at least what you can see of his face with the mask, and the way he's saying this with, well, I suppose you could, but unfortunately I don't have anyone special left. The ones most precious to me have already been killed, and this instantly turns off that kind of cocky Sasuke kind of mode, and he's shocked to kind of hear that Kakashi actually has a very similar background to him. And it's interesting. He says, I've lived longer than you. Times were bad in my day. I know the pain of losing someone more than I'd like to, but neither you nor I can be called lucky, that's for sure. But we're not the most unfortunate either. You and I have both found precious friends, haven't we? And this one is a really interesting line because obviously it's him stating the obvious. This has kind of been like the overall theme of Naruto up to now. The bonds with people close to you. Naruto has been able to develop at this point because he's been, really forged these relationships with people like Iruka, Kakashi, Sasuke. But this is, Sasuke getting it pointed out to him that you also have these type of bonds too. That you feel like you have the most unfortunate history ever with what you went through, and it is bad, and I know what that is. That's basically what Kakashi's saying. But some people go through all of that and still have nothing after that. At least us, we found other people in our lives, and obviously the two people they're talking about most obviously are Sakura and Naruto, and that's what you get Sasuke thinking about. And he basically just leaves saying, like, I gave you I thought you did Chidori for a reason. Now you need to kind of think about what way to use that. Using it that way against a friend, is that the right thing to do? And he just leaves him. Like, he doesn't force him to like have this realization right now. He just like hits it home that, look, this is your choice now. You can focus on the people that you have right now, or you can linger in the past and basically have this quest for revenge. And even if you succeed in fulfilling your revenge, you're still going to be empty at the end because all you have done is have killed someone. And you see him thinking about this back and forth. Basically, the two things he's thinking about are good Naruto and Sakura, bad Itachi in the past. And obviously, one way he'll come closer to his friends, he'll side with Kakashi. Goes down the other path, he'll be drawn more towards Orochimaru, and that's the big kind of shift in character that we get here. And then almost immediately after that, he is confronted by the villain group, the Sound Ninja 4, and we get introduced to them: Kidomaru, Jirobo, Sakon, and Tayuya. And initially, Sasuke seems like a decent match for them, but they quickly reveal that they are actually very powerful ninja. And even when Sasuke uses some of his more impressive moves, like the Lion's Barrage and stuff like that, even going as far as to use the Curse Mark, they reveal that they have the Curse Mark too, but they have a mastery over it. And them revealing that they are themselves Orochimaru's kind of guys shows Sasuke that, like, this is the sort of power that Orochimaru can teach you. You already have part of that. Imagine you could get the second level of Curse Mark. Imagine how powerful you'd be then. And it's one of those things where, like, they focus just on the power, whereas Kakashi had focused more on the friendship aspect. And the way Sasuke is feeling right now, having just been in hospital because he wasn't powerful enough to defeat Itachi, combined with the fact that he's seeing Naruto's power level, you can see why he's being so much more drawn to the idea of power as opposed to the kind of friendships that he's developing at the moment. So, pretty big moment here as they kind of just say, they also leave him. They don't take him here. They just say, they just leave it in his mind. Like, we have the power, or Orochimaru can give you that power. He can help you, master the Curse Mark. But we'll let you decide what you're going to do. And it's really, really well done. How this kind of comes about. They devote a decent amount of time to it, just focusing on this, that he's strong, Sasuke, right now, but he could be stronger with Orochimaru's help and power. Then we end with a very in-depth kind of analysis, basically, of Guy's relationship with Lee. We touch on the flashbacks that we've seen already and the information that we know about them already, and then go even further to show how they first met, and an incident between Guy and Kakashi that has a really big impact on Lee. And that incident was, of course, when basically they played rock, paper, scissors as one of their kind of challenges with each other. Kakashi wins, but before it even took place, Guy was like, okay, I'm going to do 500 laps around the village on a handstand if I lose. And he loses, of course. And Lee kind of comes up to him for pretty much the first time properly talking to Guy, and is just like, why did you ask to do that? Why are you actually, one, why did you do that? Two, why are you still doing it? Kakashi's not even watching to make sure you do the 500. You could just leave it and no one would care. So it's interesting that Guy's answer is that it's basically the ninja way. He reveals the whole idea of self-rule, that to Guy, what he's doing is not, okay, I've lost a bet, I have to do this because I lost. He's more like, okay, if I won, fair enough, but if I lose this way, I kind of force myself to do something that will potentially make me stronger for the next time. That the whole time he's fulfilling these 500 laps, he's thinking, I'll be strong enough to defeat Kakashi next time. And even if he's not, the training will be a positive for him. And it's just this really positive way of looking at something really weird that he just said for himself. And we just build up to this whole idea that, Lee, of course, we know him, he's the genius of hard work. But this time, no matter how much hard work he does, everything is dependent on luck. It's basically 50-50 if the operation will be a success or not. Lee, no matter how hard he works here, can't really determine if he has a successful surgery or not. And it ends up being with this really nice thing where it just highlights the closeness of Lee and Guy, in that Guy just says, get the surgery, Lee. I'll make you this promise. This is my self-rule here. If you die taking this surgery, I will die with you. That's a promise. And that's the kind of self-rule here that shows just how close the two are. And they hug. And it is... This is where you really see it as, like, beyond just master-apprentice, master-student, sensei, whatever you want to call it. And it is more of a kind of fatherly type figure. That's the way he really cares about Lee. And it's just really well done. And yeah, he just says, Guy says, "From the moment I met you, my ninja way has been to make you a splendid ninja." So very, very fitting end here. So yeah, overall, great volume, of course. I already talked about the first half. The second half has some really great moments. Just I suppose, basically the two sides giving their argument for Sasuke as to if should he stay or should he leave to get more power. And ultimately is one of those things where, for Kakashi, should he have tried to hit home a bit harder, force Sasuke a little bit more to understand, um, or was it just really clever on behalf of the villains, really emphasizing the power aspect, that they defeated him using the power they gained from Orochimaru? You could get the same. So I just really like the setup towards that. That it is a transitional volume here, in that Sasuke is now in this position where he's about to decide if he goes or not, which is going to set up the Sasuke retrieval mission, which is basically the last arc of Naruto, which leads directly into the Naruto-Sasuke fight, which leads directly into the end of part 1 and the start of the time skip. So we're very much getting towards the end here, and this as the setup for the end, really well done, with introducing Shikamaru back into things more heavily, Choji, Kiba, all that sort of stuff. So really good volume in terms of setup. Excellent Sasuke character development. Some really nice scenes with characters like Kakashi, and of course the Lee and Guy stuff was great as well. So yeah, try and get another volume review out later this week, but I'm not exactly sure what the schedule of videos is this week just yet. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.